So Herbert James Hickey, also known as Herb Uncle, has been associated with the Boston Area Sai Centers for the past 23 years. He grew up in Weymouth, Massachusetts, studied biology at University of Massachusetts, Boston, and holds a Master of Education in Early Childhood Education with the Creative Arts from Lesley University. He also holds certificates in the Family Homelessness Studies and in the Foundation of Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health. He's currently employed as an educator in Horizons for Homeless Children and has worked with preschool children and infants who are currently in shelter or have recently been in shelter. Through his work, he has received Core Values Awards for teamwork and for passion. Brother Herb is probably best known in the Sai Center community as SSE teacher for the 12 plus years. He is the current SSE Coordinator for the Sathya Sai Center of Great Boston and Massachusetts and has served the organization as part of the National Teacher Training Team, as well as by conducting workshops on storytelling for SSE teachers. With a great honor, what a resume. Oh my God, so inspiring. Welcome you, Herb. Please unmute yourself, okay?
Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam.
Pranams to our dear Swami, and to all of the bright lights in front of me. Swami, you say, my life is your message, and my story is your story. You are the speaker, you are the listener. Fill this space with love and light. Om Jai Sai Ram. Sai Ram, it's good to see everyone. Feel free to put on your video if you feel comfortable doing so. It'd be great to see you all. I had hoped to see you. I had also hoped to see you all in person, but we have to be grateful to Swami for giving us this beautiful, I'm sure we have said this again and again and again through lockdown and whatever, for giving us this beautiful platform by which we can at least reach each other here and beyond, and especially in the midst of this weather. It kind of makes me feel at home. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and this is, I think, what I left. So, Om Sai Ram, I hope everybody's comfortable. So I was asked to share some experiences, and I think the first thing that anybody ever asks is how I came to Swami. So I don't know where this story begins. I don't think we ever really know where this story begins, right? But I remember when I was very young, maybe in 5th or 6th grade, I was very interested in what they call the paranormal, right? ESP and people bending spoons and all these things. And this is back in the 70s at some point. And UFO, and it was all seen as, if it's not by the Western standards evidentiary, if there's no evidence, then it's something paranormal. So I remember I used to love to take out these books, and there was one really big book. And in it, I guess what I should say is, I remember sometime while after I'd come to Swami, seeing this picture of, it was a black and white picture, I think, of Swami with his hand in the urn making the vibhuti. And I suddenly said, that picture looks really familiar. And I think it struck me that I most likely saw it in this big book I used to take out often from the library on what we call paranormal experiences. So I think that Swami might possibly reach way back into my childhood, dropped his calling card. But, how I really came to Swami, I have to start with this part that I was, from a very young age, I was bullied. And it went well into my middle, my junior high school years. And because of that, I had very, very low self-esteem. And I hope nothing I say triggers anybody here, but it's my story I have to tell. And And so I was bullied from a very young age, and so I had a very, very low self-esteem. And from that point on, this led me to, into a very deep, I don't want to say depression, but I did start to self-medicate to the point that over, into my 20s or something, it was pretty clear that I was a functioning alcoholic and possible, dabbled in drug use and things like that. And, and I found myself sinking deeper and deeper and into darker places, where I was quite withdrawn from the good people in my life and hanging out with people that were not the best influences. And at the time, I was working in this place called, you don't need to know the name, but it was a testing center. One of those places where you would go to take your GRE or your GMAT exam or TOEFL or USMLE exam. Maybe some of you, that's more what you're more familiar with, the medical exam. And I found myself there as this functioning alcoholic person. And I was definitely in darkness and certainly in this downward spiral to the point where I was very clear that where I was headed, I would not be here today. And but this one day, this woman showed up in the center. She was a young woman. She was taking an exam. And just know that anybody that I will not use few people's names, but everybody I have permission with. And this young lady showed up at the center to take an exam. And she was a nice person. And at the time when she came in, we were in the midst of a big, Boston was in the midst of what was called the Big Dig. I don't know if you've heard of it. It was a huge infrastructure project. And this young lady came to me when she was on the break-in in her exam, and she said to me, is it safe to go home? And to walk to the train station from here. And I said, I get out, I get done with my work shortly, around the same time you finish your exam, and I will certainly walk you to the station. And she said that would be nice. And of course, I have to admit that, here I was, this Western person, a little bit lonely, whatever, and thought I might want to get to know this person a little more. That's the honest answer, the honest account. And so when she got off work, when I got off work, I started to, we went and we started walking and talking, little chit chat, things like this. And we got to the first train station, and I don't know if anybody's been here in Boston, but around this Boston Central area, there's several train stations in a row. And we kind of thought, oh, well, it's nice. This is nice, so we will continue on to the next station. And the conversation got a little more on spiritual. And I think at the time I was trying to impress her with my spiritual flexibility or something, and I was talking about this and that and spiritual matters. And we went by several train stations, and we got to the park, the big park in Boston called Boston Common. And she had said, a relative of mine lives right across the park, so we can walk through here and go there. And I said, sure. And I don't know why I have to tell this part, because I have to keep the flow going, but it was kind of funny. We stopped at a moment. There were ducks, and she said she really enjoyed feeding the ducks. And so she pulled out some almonds. Now, personally, my knowledge of nature and whatever told me that ducks cannot eat whole almonds. They will choke. So I reach into my bag and I pull out this utility tool, one of those Leatherman tools or something, with pliers on it, and started to crush the nuts for her. And she said, she looked at me and said, "Why do you have a knife?" And I was just, so I can crush these nuts for you. But I think the importance of that was it caused us to stop and pause. And at that point, she said something to me that I'll never forget. She said, "What would you say if I told you that God is here on earth?" And I had this very pat answer came up to me. Oh, some people say that God is everywhere. And she said, no. She said, no, what I mean is that people believe, I believe that God is here walking the earth as your Jesus did. And of course, then I was a little bit, okay, fine. This is probably some Indian kind of thing. And I said, okay. And she then pulled out this triptych she had of the picture of Shirdi Sai and Sathya Sai, and then that picture of Prema Sai that we might be familiar with. I think Swami gave. And she said no, and she explained to me this, and of course I'm still thinking that this is some kind of cultural thing, and but I wasn't totally unaware. I had gone to, we had the Hare Krishna lunch. They would often have a free vegetarian meal, and I had gone with a cousin of mine to one of these and sat in one of these meetings, and so I was okay. I wasn't that didn't throw me off too much. And plus, here was this nice young lady, right? So I said to her, okay, fine. And how can I learn more about this? And she told me about Center and told me the 2 cardinal rules, take off your shoes, and men sit on one side, ladies sit on the other side. And I thought, okay, fine, whatever. And she told me when the meeting happened. And of course, I'm just gathering information to see how I can meet this nice person again. No intention to go attend any kind of meeting or anything like that, and no spiritual intention at all. And so I didn't go right away because I was in this darkness, right? I was in this space where, I was in this cyclical thing of waking up and drinking so that I could get through my day, and drinking so I don't get sick, and then going to bed at night and things like this. So I didn't go right away, but I felt, I wanted to go. And in a few weeks I went. And as Swami has it, Swami is beautiful. I went on a day when she didn't come. But I walk into the center, and there are all these people there, and the ladies are on one side, and the men are on the other side, and all the ladies all look the same from the back. They all have their black hair, the ponytail, whatever, and the saris, or the Punjabi, and so I had to keep walking quite a distance in order to ensure to see if she was there or not. And then when I realized that she wasn't there, ego takes over, and this is where ego, Swami uses ego. Even though I knew nobody, I felt that if I walked out at that time, everybody would know why I was there, right? Everybody would know I was, and so I said, I can't leave right now, but I'll sit down here I sat down next to this old man. And, when I was growing up, there was a strong, from my mom, there was a strong worry about cults and things like this. And my mom had some experience in her family that had her quite worried. Whenever we went into Boston or something, she would, pull us close if the, Hare Krishnas came or anything like that. So I guess there was one part of me that did kind of wonder. I don't know, but I sat down next to this old man, the one person I knew probably couldn't catch me if I tried to run or leave before the doors closed. And I figured I would just sit and be with him. And he was this old man with these glasses thicker than a Coke bottle, and he looked at me nicely, and then the music started. And this beautiful music was going on, and it was very beautiful. But the hardest part for me was I cannot hear a song, even in another language, and not want to sing it, right? I'm sure some people feel that way here. I felt like, so here I am, at those times, there was no set book. We had, maybe some people here have had the same experience, all these typed up, like 3 different binders of typed books of typed bhajans. And I was looking, I couldn't figure these out. It's all this new language to me. And if people didn't say that first word clearly, I was totally lost. And there is this old man sitting next to me so sweetly, trying to help me because he saw me. He was giving up his devotional time to try to help me find these songs. And it was beautiful and frustrating at the same time, I guess, but it was nice. And then the bhajan stopped. And then they started to pass around the dust, the magic dust. They started to pass around the dust, and the dust started coming. And of course, Swami, in his beauty, puts things in a very nice way. The way it snaked around, it came to the old man first. And if you've ever seen some of these older people, and I say this with all the love in the world, by the time he was finished with the vibhuti, it was everywhere. And I just had this thought that if he's reached this age of, I don't know, 109 or something is what it seemed to me. If he has reached this age, taking this dust, then I at least will not die. And I say that maybe it's a little bit of exaggeration, but I said it won't hurt me. And so I took the dust and I followed what everybody else was doing. And if that dust was magic dust, it's still working, and I think everybody should take it. But so that was my first initiation. Then, of course, everybody started. They asked about, as you probably do, asked about newcomers, and I said I was there, and they very kindly and in a very gentle way said if I wanted to give my information to do so, and I said fine, sure. And then what happened as we got to go, I was met by some people, these young people, and they had this beautiful smile, but not the smile my mom was worried about. This was I just felt something from these people, the feeling that they were presenting, we would say vibration now or whatever, was just so genuine, and they spoke to me. So, of course, this is all, after the fact I feel this way, but so lovingly, so genuine. And just asked just where I'm from and things like this, and so beautiful. And many of these people that I first encountered, are still in my life now. I consider them the people that Swami sent me, guardians or whatever. But anyway, so I left the center and I went home. I had to take trains and things like this. And I didn't go back right away because, again, I am in this dark place. I am still very much in the darkness. But I did feel at that point I needed to go back. I felt this need. There was something there that I needed to go back to. And so I was very inconsistent. I would go and I wouldn't go. And people were always, no matter what, and probably what state I was in, I don't know. They were always so sweet and so kind. And they would invite me to some things. And then if I needed a ride, they were always there to give me this ride. And I didn't go, so I guess I did not go very consistently. There was still a lot of questions in my mind. I was brought up very Catholic by some devout Catholic parents, wonderful people. And so I was always questioning, am I going against my faith? Am I putting a false god before me? So some beautiful things then happened. And this is kind of the, I always say the woo-woo stuff. So here I was in this dark place with this, I kept feeling like I had to go, and very infrequent. And Swami, is so beautiful. I found myself one day with, I don't know what you would call it. I was on the edge of my bed, and I had, I don't know if you would call a vision, meditation. I don't know what it was because I don't know what state I was in. But in my mind, and I could see nothing else, but in my mind, in that state, There was a presence next to me, and it did not show its face, but there was a presence next to me, and we were standing on like a hill, like the hills you have here, many of them, standing on a hill and looking down, and there was a path. And strewn along the path were a lot of people, bodies, people, whatever. And this, without words, but with words, if that makes any sense, this presence was telling me, look, this is the path that I have brought you on. All those people have been on the same path. You have made it here. Something along those lines, the feeling I got. And it was just this beautiful moment of just realizing that somehow I had been brought somewhere safely, that there was something going on here. So that went, I passed out or whatever I did. And maybe I went to center a few more times. And then I found myself in another situation, same thing, sitting on the edge of my bed, probably somewhere after, falling off from drinking or something like this. I don't know. And again, I found myself in this state again, very clear vision, nothing else. Actually, this is what prompted this vision. I had, so I had found myself in the center amongst all these wonderful people, and especially, I have to be honest, coming from where I was and a very lonely person, finding myself amongst all these wonderful, powerful, spiritual women, I think I found myself sometimes a little bit smitten, not lustful, nothing bad, but just by this these wonderful, beautiful, loving people. And at one point, I think I found myself still keeping in mind I was a very Western mind and what relationships should be and all this stuff and what we should seek. And there was this one person, and I had found myself attracted to them. But she seemed to be around or attached to some other person very much, and I found myself in this bit of jealousy and a struggle. And I found myself sitting on the edge of my bed again in this, kind of first this bit of frustration and maybe a little bit of anger. Why not me? All this stuff, this ego stuff going on. And then Swami started talking to me, or this voice started talking to me and started saying, and I started coming to this, in this conversation, coming to this thought that, why should I be angry? Why should I be mad? If I should be happy for the situation, for this person. This person is a wonderful, beautiful person. I should be happy for this. And this conversation evolved to this whole idea that, everything I have, this person was giving me everything she could possibly give me, everything I needed. Why did I need to possess this person? And then I was led to this other beautiful thought that love, of what love really was, that it was not about this attachment, this need, whatever, that this person, not only this person, but many people around the world would give me that same love, that same feeling, this love that was at times felt stronger than my own family, right? And that expanded even started to expand across the world to people that I had met at the center that had gone to other places, that I was very clear that if I had landed in that place and needed, that person would take me in just like a sister. Or this person would take me in just like a brother. And that not only that, but that there were people around the world who I had never even met, that if I landed at their doorstep, if I found a center, and I had only been going to center for a very short amount of time, but it was so clear that if I walked into a center and said, I am lost, I need something, it would be provided. How I knew that, I don't know, but it was very clear. So that again, I started, led me to fully start to accept the love that was being given in the center. And I wanted to go there more. I wanted to go to the centers more. And I started to try to be more frequent, but of course this addiction and things would get in the way. And then again, I landed once more time on the edge of my bed in the same similar state. But this time I found myself, it was very clear, it was a very short conversation. This presence was there again, and the presence showed me again what I had, where I was going. This is what you're comfortable with. This is what you're doing. You can stay in this, or you can have this. And there was no real visual or whatever, but I knew exactly what was being offered, the life I was living, what I was comfortable with, or this whole different thing that was exactly what I thought the world should be like, but had given up on. These people that were loving, that were caring, that were honest, that were truthful, that were that filled me with this wonderful feeling that I could have one or that I could have the other. But I had to choose. And I broke down in tears. And I said to Swami, I said, Swami, I think I was actually feeling quite sick at the time. And I said, Swami, and maybe thinking I was dying, I don't know. I said, Swami, if you let me live, if you help me out of this, I will try to be your strongest devotee. I don't know if I've gotten that place yet, but I then, of course, passed out or whatever I did. And I can't say that I woke up and I was all changed and all this. That was not my story. It's not Michael's story or anything like that. I woke up and I just knew there was something. There was a whole brand new day in front of me. I knew there was something. I just knew that if I worked hard, if I tried to do my best, I would come out. Swami would take care. And I didn't even know Swami. I didn't even know what I was saying at that point. And I started to go to center more regularly. And at that time, people invited me to picnics and things, and I was eating a lot of Indian food, and I started to really feel part of this thing. And like I said, it was something that I had totally given up on. I started going every week. Now, mind you, I am still in the darkness. I really still am in the darkness. Once you get there, if anybody knows anything about addiction, and some of you, I'm sure you do, it is hard. You cannot get out on your own. And though Swami was there, I did not have that full faith. Like I said, I still was not sure what I was getting into. But Swami, in his own way, he had something happen at work, and which caused me to have to seek help through our organization, through our offices. And I went through the process of that one must do to get out of this situation. I went to AA meetings, and I had tried them before, but I think the struggle was that they seemed very dim, very lacking in hope for me. And this is just for me. And again, if this is hard for anybody, it's okay. That all I felt, I would go and people would just make it sound as though my whole day was going to be just trying not to, do anything bad, and that this was just going to be my whole life. But here, when I went, I knew there was something else. I knew that there was this place I could go, these people I could be with. And I could not find any friends in the AA group and anything like that, because all we had linking us was our addiction. Everything else was not the people I wanted to be with. But I knew that there were people I wanted to be with. There was a place I wanted to go. And I went through the process, but I mainly was going to center. I would go in the morning and then I would go to the center in the afternoon. And shortly afterwards, I needed not to go anymore to this because I felt I didn't feel any need. I was surrounded by these beautiful people, many of them, in fact, at the time, nobody drank. Swami had put me in this beautiful situation where I was with nobody people didn't drink, people didn't swear, people were in this, everything that I needed was right there. Om Jai Sai Ram. So that is how I came to Center, and that is why I kept coming to Center. So I hope this is an engaging story. So I was coming to Center regularly, and I'd met a wonderful family that was in our area. They were usually considered gateway families. I think everybody has those people that everybody who comes seems to meet first and acquaints them with the whole situation. And this person had been so sweet to me, his man Kuga and his wife, and so suddenly after about 3 years, now this was I came to Swami in 98 or 99, and this was around 2001. He proposes that I go to this place called, to go to India, to this place called, I knew of it by now. I had been going to Center for a few years now. And again, keep in mind, I was still in darkness. I was still, and he said to me, I was still doing the things I shouldn't be doing, but at least I was going to Center, and at least I was amongst these people. And Swami said, Span Kuga said, come to India, come to Prashanti Nilayam. And I was like, I can't afford it. It's a long way to go. I had all these excuses. He took everything away. He said, I will pay for it. You pay me back and all this. And so I said, okay. And Daniela, please just hold up 10 fingers or whatever, or let me know when time is coming. I have no sense of time, nor do I want to look at a clock. And so this is kind of funny. Of course, this is something that would be totally alien. I was living at home at the time. It was I had moved home because the state I was in, I could not maintain, apartment and anything like that. I was still working, but I went to, but I felt that if I had told, my mom would ask, and I was in my 20s or 30s even, and my mom would ask what I was doing, where I was going. She would want to know, and I would have to tell her I'm going to India, and she'd want to know why, and she totally would not understand any of this. She's very Catholic. She would, as I feared, think I was going off into something else, possibly some cult or something like that. That I was certainly putting a false god before me. And I didn't even know. But my friend was so persuasive, I said I have to go. So I came up with a story. And I told my mom that, this friend, he has these 2 young children, and they're going to India, and he thought he need somebody to be with these young children. So he would like me to come with him, and all this big lie is what it was. And that is the story I told my mom. Well, Swami did not want me to come with a lie on my hands. So at some point, I'm not sure if my mom called my friend Kuga or Kuga's wife called my mom, but there was some connection there that I was not able to run interference on, and the jig was up. And I just had to say I'm going, and so I went. Now, so this is how I came to Swami. In some ways, this is what my introduction. But then, so I went to Puttaparthi. Now, of course, now I can't drink, right? I can't do anything. I'm coming to ashram. I come on ashram. We go in the middle of the night, as always. I found it very interesting, of course, that when you land, at least when we landed, everybody clapped. And I was saying, I hope this is what's supposed to happen. But it was Shivaratri. We went during Shivaratri. And just a little jump cut. I remember standing in some line and hearing somebody once say, "Imagine this being your first time in Puttaparthi." And if you've been to Shivaratri, has anybody been to Shivaratri? You just raise your hand if you can. Yeah, during Shivaratri, and while Swami was there, um, yeah, for it to be your first time, all I said was Gayatri mantra. I remember when I went. I had been listening. We had been listening. We had speakers and we had speakers at the retreat and all these people. And I watched some videos, and everybody would have something that they attached to their why Swami did something. So I was keeping them all in my mind, and one of them was Gayatri mantra. If I kept saying Gayatri mantra, maybe I'd get that interview, right? Because that was what I was supposed to want. I didn't even know why, but what I was supposed to want is this interview and a ring or a necklace or some materialization. This was a message that I was hearing from all these speakers. I was missing everything else. This is what I was hearing, miracles and all this. So so here I was, but my friends were telling me, Kugo was telling me, just expect nothing and accept everything. And I kept trying to keep that in mind. And I was saying Gayatri mantra. And especially when I sat on token line and was squished like I was being in a trash compactor, squished and squished and squished. I was saying so many Gayatri mantras because it was painful. I do not sit cross-legged very much. And so we got online. And back then, if you've gone to party back in the 90, this was in 2000. So it was 2002 that we went. It was right after 9/11. We were still lining up on that main plaza. This was before Swami said, put the people on the side where the shade was. We were still out in the main plaza, token line, you pick the token and all this. And we would go early in the morning and we would sit. And so the interesting thing was I always seemed to have the better line than any of my friends. I was always the person who became the letter carrier, right? Like everybody would pass their letters forward to me. I wasn't necessarily frontline, but I was always closest. And so that was, I always thought, you have this nice ego feeling, I am the front, I am the closest. People want me to give the letters here, Swami, and people would take, and I think Swami did take letters from me, but I didn't attach any meaning really to it. I was still questioning why I am here and what I am doing. And is this right? That was a big part. So it's Shivaratri. If you've ever been there, I'm sure you've been there during Shivaratri, right? You sit on this hill and there's all these people waiting, and I had been warned that it's going to be like the running of the bulls. There's going to be some magic signal and everybody's going to go crazy. And I said, I am not going to be part of that. I will walk down quietly, calmly. This will get me what Swami will think about, see this person walking calmly and quietly and say, this is the person I want to give a tribute to. So I'm walking down. So it was very interesting because I got there and I got online, and this is where I heard that person saying that about if I've ever gone to party, imagine being the first, this being your first time there, because literally the pushing, the shoving, Sai Ram became kind of get out of my way. It was certainly not the Sai Ram I was used to hearing, and it literally is people pushed in front of you and whatever Sai Ram, and I'm like Sai Ram, yeah. And so Gayatri mantra, constantly, and then suddenly I was rescued by this vision. A friend of ours was over to the side, and he was in this human chain, trying to keep the thongs from pushing through. And so he said, Herbie, come over here. And I went over, better than being in the squishy line. And we were standing there. And the only reason why this is important is that we didn't get in this rush of line. We got in when we got in. And I remember it was a beautiful moment because I didn't intend to tell this way, but this is what's happening. So bear with me. But it's a beautiful moment because we wound up I was sitting with him. My friend Kuga had gotten invited to go to the Mandir. My other friend, I'm not sure where he wound up. He stayed in the line. So I was with my friend. Um, and we were sitting there. And these two boys were sitting next to us, young boys, all by themselves. And we had asked, of course, they didn't speak English, but my friend had asked, where they were. And they said they had an aunt who was on the other side, and they couldn't go over there, so they were there by themselves. And I was feeling a lot of compassion for them because, they're so earnest. These young people in Party, these young kids, they're so earnest and they think they're always looking for Swami and whatever. And these people behind us, the older people behind us, all shushing and telling them to get down and all this. And I was just feeling how nice it is these boys wanted to see Swami. How nice it was that these boys, though I didn't understand the whole thing, that these boys had this desire to, that they had more than I had, actually. And the beauty of this was they stayed with us well into the evening. And my friend spoke to them in Telugu, and they just, Swami had put us together for a reason. And I had always been very good with young children. I don't know what it is. But anyway, the point being that this boy fell asleep on my shoulder. My friend Sundar always reminds me of this. He says, remember those boys. And so they stayed with us. And I just felt, it was so nice for us to be there for them, but maybe they were there for us. But anyway, so, Swami creates the lingam. I didn't know what that was all about, really. He created 2 lingams that year. And it all had to be pointed out to me and explained to me. And then later, after Swami finished his discourse and all this, everybody's staying and singing bhajans. It's Shivaratri evening, but we decided we should go. We should go and get some rest, and we'll come back in the morning. And we went. And, somewhere I met my other friends. We were staying in the same room, so we met there, and we kind of decided at that point, you know what? Let us not rush in the morning. Let's take some rest. We won't rush there in the morning. Swami will come out to give another discourse. We'll come before then and we'll sit. So this is part of I don't know why it took me so long to get to this, but so we went and we came, and by the time we got there, the hall was filled. Sai Hall was filled, and the only space left was in the driveway. We were relegated to the driveway, right? It's like nosebleed seats in the hallway. And if you've been to the place, this is where Sai Gita would come up when Sai Gita was there, or the trucks would come up when they had service. So here we are, we're in the driveway. And because of the way it worked, as we're getting in there, those Seva dolls were a little aggressive. They pushed us here, pushed us there, separated us. I was feeling very uncomfortable because my friends were back there and one was up there, and here I was by myself squished in this small place, so far away from where Swami was going to come and from the altar and all this, where Swami sits. And again, I knew what I was supposed to be looking for. I knew what I was supposed to be excited about Swami, and I was supposed to be looking for him. And because if he's what people said he was, I want that miracle, I want that interview. And about the interview, just quickly to say that there was a moment, this is why I mentioned being in the darshan lines, was that there was a moment when Swami was coming and he took the letters. And when we came out, there was all this buzz, and people had said that Swami had done this hook finger thing. And that was supposed to mean I was going to get an interview. Okay, so expect nothing, accept everything, but he's going to give you an interview. Now, my friend is very good of explaining that, it's Swami's time. It's on Swami's time. Maybe it'll happen now, maybe later, whatever. But in my mind, I'm supposed to not think about it. But in my mind, it's like, oh, maybe he'll give me an interview when he's going to give me. So here I am, and in my mind, I'm telling myself I'm not supposed to expect anything, but certainly I have this excitement that maybe I am that person who will get that interview, get that ring, get that all this stuff. So we're sitting there so far away, and I'm supposed to look for this little fuzzy ball of black off in the distance. We were all looking for it on top of this little swatch of orange. And I had gotten at that time a little kind of good at distinguishing that little fuzzy ball from all the other blackheads sitting on top of colorful clothing. And so we're all looking for this. And, suddenly you would hear this sound would come through the audience, and everybody would rise up and come down. And it got me thinking that, the wave was originated in Puttaparthi, because that is what would happen, right? If you've been there, you know it's this sound, and everybody kind of rises up a little bit to look and come. And I really felt like that's what it was like, the wave. And suddenly, after a few false alarms, it comes. Swami is coming, and we're all watching and squinting and looking for him off in the distance, and he's coming and coming closer. And now, in the past, I thought it would be like anything else. He'll come around, he'll go through, go right in front of the thing and go down and go to sit down. But it was Shivaratri. So Swami starts coming, and he's coming and he's coming, and he goes around the ladies' side, and he goes around the ladies' side, and he's coming and coming and closer and closer and closer. And he's coming around, and he snakes his way, and then he comes up way to the back, and he comes over by the driveway. So if you've been there when Swami was there, which I hope many of you have had this opportunity, wherever Swami goes, the heads go, the body goes, the eyes go. And so as he comes, he turns, and he turns to walk down the driveway. So he's going to come by, and so everybody swivels and turns, right? We all swivel and turn, and there's Swami, watching Swami. And he walks along, and he walks along, and then he goes out to the village, to bless the village. So now he turns around, and now we're all swiveled this way. And I really believe that they should have marketed this. They should have caught on to this and created the swivel cushion. It would have been a great invention, great way to make some extra money. Donations, of course. But so here we are, and we're all here in Swami's blessing. And then Swami has to come back down to the driveway to get back into the hall. So if you think about it, here I am on the side. We were on the side. And my friend's up there, my other friend's in back. Sewak is in back, Kuga's in front. And we swivel. And here is Swami in the center. And then we swivel here. And guess where we are? Front row. So suddenly, there's this little charge of energy. But of course, my charge of energy is different from everybody else's charge of energy, because I am wanting something. And not what everybody else is wanting. I am wanting something, to be that person who gets this. And I know there is something that tells me I'm supposed to want to be in front row, to want Swami's blessings. But here we are, front row. So this is important. Swami walks down, he walks along. He passes all these people and stops right in front of my friend Sewak. Turns and gives blessings. My friend Sewak is over there, total hot mess. I can see the tears streaming down, his body is shaking, hot mess. Then Swami turns. He passes by 4 or 5 people and stands right in front of me. Turns and gives blessings. Now, I don't know what's going on. I'm going totally honest. I am wanting to be like my friend Sewak, but my mind is so full of, is this right, whatever. But he is in front of me, I give a smile and he gives me his blessings but I did not have that hot mess. And then what do you think happened? Does anybody, can you imagine what might have happened if he went to Saywak and stopped? He went to me and stopped. Where did he go next? He walks down, passes the next few people and stops right in front of my friend Kuga. Turns and gives him blessings. Kuga, hot mess. Tears streaming down his eyes. You know, my friend Saywak had experiences. This was his first time. Kuga's been there many times. These people, they know what they are getting. I am sitting there looking at him, and trying to squeeze a little tear from my eye and trying to at least show that I'm having the same emotion. I'm in the midst of all these people, and I am probably the only one who is not feeling what I should be feeling. But I'm trying, and it's probably that trying that was the way I'm looking. I'm literally trying to want to show I am crying too. So later on, I knew that something had happened. I knew that this was not some conspiracy of the Seva dolls went and whispered to Swami, Swami, these people come and you just stop there and there. Couldn't be that. That was too complicated. But afterwards, you know, of course, Kuga and Saywak are all talking there, still a hot mess, babbling, whatever. And I am just trying to have something. But so we went on. And I kind of probably forgot about that. I did want to mention that at that time, you know, Swami had started, it was around that time that Swami had said he was going to stop giving Padnamaskars. So that is why nobody did this. They just sat there and cried and all this. And so he would stop and just bless. And that was enough for my friends. And I know that, you know, we went on, we had these other experiences, maybe I'll talk about them, but this is important. This story has not ended. So what happened was, many years later, we went on, many years later, I am home, I got home, and I knew something had happened. Some things have happened that gave me a little bit of evidence that this was something special. This person was special. If he was merely a magician, the fact that he is spreading love is great. And whatever, I went home. I took all the books that I was hiding, that I'd read and then hide and all this stuff. I brought them out. I set up an altar. Like I said, it was at my parents' house, and my mom would come bring my laundry sometimes and drop them off. I didn't care if she saw it. We would have to have that conversation sometime. And I started saying the morning prayers, and I started faithfully saying, you know, Omkar and Suprabhatam. And the beautiful thing about the Suprabhatam was, as I started saying it, little snippets of my visit to Puttaparthi would come into my mind, very clear as day, as though they were you know, right there. If I was singing that first line of, we love to sing your sweet name, there was the bhajan hall and people singing bhajans. And the second stanza, if you don't include the prelude, does anybody know the English Suprabhatam? Do you know it?
Just 1 minute, Herbert. We have more 10 minutes, okay?
Good, thank you.
Good.
So if you know this English Suprabhatam, the second line goes, we brought to you colorful flowers with fragrance so sweet. And suddenly, there's clear as day, this vision of the ladies sitting at the gate making the garlands, you know, would come to my mind. And then the second line of that is, our dear Guru, our object now is to worship your feet. And I would sing this Suprabhatam with all these pictures going through my mind every day. But then as life gets on, right, I moved from darshan to karshan. Does anybody know what karshan is? Karshan is when you have decided that your life is too busy to spend a few minutes in front of Swami at the altar, and so you say your prayers in the car. You get into the car and you start saying your prayers. And here I am doing karshan now. and we're driving along. I'm driving along one day, and I'm going along, and suddenly, and I'm saying this, and I get to that line, Dear Guru, our object now is to worship your feet. And at that moment, clear as day, this person is no longer in the car, but sitting in this line, reaches out and touches Swami's feet. I had not thought about this. I had not planned this. Just automatically, it just happened. And now I am hot mess. Now the hot mess is there. This is why you don't do karshan. Because suddenly, the blessing that Swami was giving me way back then, 6 years or whatever it was there. I was ready to accept it. It was given to me. And I was a hot mess. I shouldn't be driving. And then, of course, Swami filled me with this beautiful feeling of just gratitude. Thank you, Swami. And I think the best thing I took from that is no matter, Swami's blessings will always be there for you. What grace Swami has bestowed will be waiting for you when you are ready for it. So I told that because that also was the moment when I really realized that Swami was real, that Swami was God, that his omniscience was revealed to me, that there was no way that this could have happened any other way. Like I said, I feel as though I really did get Padnamaskar. So I think that is, as I said, that is a seminal thing in my life. And then Swami, throughout our days, throughout my life, has constantly given me reminders. And I would say just along the similar lines, if somebody wants to hear some story like this, I was driving along once, and now I was with my father in the car, and we were driving along one of these high-speed lanes. Now in Boston, the high-speed lane has these big, what they call Jersey barriers, these big concrete blocks. And this is really just a story of why I keep Swami close. These big concrete blocks. We're driving along, and I said to my father, Dad, I want to just say some prayers. So if you could just don't mind me. And I'm in my mind now. I'm saying my karshan. I was still giving karshan, and it was raining, and suddenly this car careens right across the lanes. It is heading right for us. There's nowhere to go because we're in the middle of these two bhajans, and I am just praying, and I don't know if I said Sai Ram, whatever, but somehow we were on the other side. Somehow this car that ran right into these barriers did not hit us. How it happened, I don't know. All I know is I feel Swami saved us that day, or at least saved us from great harm. That day. I think so. I think the last, there's too many different stories. I wrote these little things. I think, and I don't know if I want to launch into something. How much time is there, Daniela? How much time do we have?
Yeah, it's about, we want to wrap up because we want to see if people have
it's
also
fine.
questions.
It is
Yeah.
good. It's good. Okay. I hope those stories were helpful. I hope they were enjoyable. I don't know. It's hard format for me, but Saira.
It was beautiful, Herb. Thank you so much for your heartfelt sharing. Yes. So, does anyone have questions to Herbert? Yes, Nanya, please go ahead. Oh, no?
No,
Okay.
I think he was just clapping.
That's clapping.
I have a
Okay.
question. I have a question for you, Herb.
Yes, please. Martin, is it right?
Yes, that's correct. So I did get knocked offline a couple times. So I don't know, maybe you
Sorry.
did for this, but you were in the beginning in a difficult place, as you call it, a dark place, and eventually, looks like you came out of that through Swami and the devotees. So is it basically just basically disappeared. You came sort of into the light, or how did that process take place?
So I think the beautiful thing, thanks for asking that. The beautiful thing for me is that it was not, I know you've heard our friend, there's another storyteller, Michael, who many people have heard,
Yes.
who I
Yes.
think everything stopped at once. It
Yes.
wasn't like that. It was really this slow Swami's love massaging me that after about 4 years, I was able to, I found myself, I was able to kick the addiction. And just slowly again, just spend my time constantly going to center, becoming an SSE teacher, basking in this light. And always the light is getting brighter, right? We think we're in the light until we see the brighter light, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, it's a real transformation there. So thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that so much.
I'm sorry if it took too long, I hope.
Not at all. It was very nice, Saran. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyone else have any questions to Herbert?
Please do,
Just a
Anand.
question that the girl who brought you to Boston Center, did you ever meet her after?
We have met many times. In fact, I will tell you this beautiful thing is that I wanted to make sure once it was brought to my attention that this might be recorded or will be recorded, or I was asked if it was okay with recording, I reached out to all the people that might come up in my story, especially her, because some people might interpret things funny. And I reached out to her and she gave me the blessing to explain that her presence in my story. And she said a beautiful thing. She said, just let Swami speak through you. Yes, so we keep in touch. I've told her, in fact, when I told her the story, she didn't remember any of it. So it was my story, I guess, not her story.
I have a question for you, Herbert.
Yes, please, Daniela.
So were you only one time in Puttaparthi that year?
No, so I went to Puttaparthi again in 2008.
Mhm.
And of course, then Swami is in his thing. We went as the Northeast Regional, the Northeast region went as a group, and we presented a music program, and we presented, and we had a big presentation for Swami. It was beautiful that Swami asked us to move it from way back by the hall that's way back by the presentation hall, way back by the store, to the Punachandra Hall. And that's a whole nother, I mean, there's so many little stories that come from this, but the beauty of that, if I could just say, is at one point, when we had first come, we're all as a group, these people kept coming to me after that first darshan. They said, Herb, we have a question to ask you. We had a friend who had a boy who was, who had some issues. We learned later he was on the autistic spectrum. And they would not let him be with his mother on the lady's side. And by then it had become known that I was had quite a good way about me with children. That I was very good with children, and this boy in particular I had known for a while. And we got along really well. Could I stay with him on the men's side? And so I said, of course, yes. So every day we would go and be with him, and I would bring him in. And the reason why I tell this story is, of course, you're always hoping that Swami will give you audience, right? And suddenly one day we were able to go have audience. Swami wanted to go see this presentation. We had gotten to sing, and he wanted to go see this presentation, and I was with this boy. And so I had come to accept that this was Swami's blessing to have me be with this boy. He was so calm with me. We had a great time. He slept on me, whatever. And some people would offer to take, and I said, you know, you be in this situation. This is what Swami has given me. When we went to the presentation, Swami's there so close, a once in a lifetime experience. He went around. I couldn't be in the presentation standing with them because I was with this boy. He gave Pandamaskar to people. I was with this boy. They wanted to have group photo, but this boy was sleeping on me now. So I missed all these things that people are hoping for, that you wish for all your life. and I didn't feel like I missed anything because Swami had given me, I'm sorry, I get sad, not sad, but a little choked up thinking Swami had given me this one beautiful task that possibly only I could have done, to be with this boy. So I miss nothing. I am so grateful for Swami for everything he gives, right? Thank you. Sorry.
Thank you so much.
I told another
Beautiful.
story.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Okay. Does anyone have it?
I hope
Anyone?
this was worthwhile and meaningful. I'm sorry, only one story, two stories, three stories. But along the lines, there are so many stories, and you have all your own stories, right?
It was beautiful. We will invite you again for the part 2, okay? So you can tell us the other stories. Thank you, Herbert.
Thank you so much for having me. Hopefully, if we come again, we meet again, it's in person, right?
Yes.
Sayonara.
Yes. Does anyone have anything to say before we move to final prayers?
Thank you, Fariba.